All right, here we are back with the Nagel Bear podcast with Blake Griebenow. What's up, bud?
What's up, buddy?
Good, good. Cheers.
Motherfucking cheers, homie.
All right, so we got a lot of topics we're going to cover today, and a lot going on in life.
Yep.
So we're going to start off. Blake is an Afghan vet and close friend. So most of you 10 listeners know that. So Blake is also, you are in Chinese studies and learning Mandarin, correct?
Yep, learning Mandarin.
All right, so this whole coronavirus, we are going to hop on the subject of coronavirus. And this will actually come out tomorrow. So this will be very recent.
Perfect.
So this will be right on the money. So coronavirus and China. I mean, you can explain the background of Chinese communism and the free market, but still how communism, like this is what happens when communism runs a government. Like, and everybody always thinks of the old Soviet Union, where they suppress people's speech. They suppress people that if they question the state. I think that one of the big things that we that a lot of people know about is Chernobyl, because it just came out on HBO, and how basically the state never looks bad. There's always somebody else to blame, and they never ever attack the hires or ever attack the people actually responsible. They always look for like a straw man, and it's not their fault, the nuclear reactor, all that bullshit. Well, now we're seeing it, even though China's in the free market, it's still communist.
Oh yeah.
So go. I mean, like, what do you got about that? You're learning the history of it right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of learning the history about it, but like learning the dynamics of the culture. Like, it's capitalism enveloped in a communist regime. So they're playing the game of, okay, we're going to have all these capitalistic attributes, but the overarching government is controlling that. So it's a crazy hybrid nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, which is, I think that's when people actually see that, like, Soviet Russia collapsed, and they didn't do this through the Cold War. But China has, like, they know the long game. They need to be open to the world, but yet they control. I mean, you're seeing it with the riots. You see it with Hong Kong. Because Hong Kong, what was up with Hong Kong and the protesters? Like, Hong Kong has some, because it was under British colonial rule.
So
or how did that?
It's a two-country, or it's a two-part system. So technically, Hong Kong is under the Chinese mainland, but it has its own kind of government. I think it's not the prime minister, but I forget the highest elected official. But they can they can vote. The Hong Kong people can vote on certain people that the mainland deems appropriate. So it's not like a free election like we know it. Chinese mainland says, hey, you can vote for this person, this person, this person, this person. Go ahead and have your democracy. Yeah. So it's a weird democracy that China, the mainland, controls. Yeah. So they're essentially the puppets that are elected, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. So which is wild, as like we're going through our own election right now, and it's like you see how the people. I mean, you do see like how crazy of difference it is in cultures. Like you see China like does that, or even like I think there's something going on with Russia right now with Putin. I didn't dive into it, but there's something to do with like basically he's running roughshod as a dictator. Like he's just there all the time. So they're like, we did have an election. I just keep crushing it. Yeah. Like he's just like, I just keep crushing it. I don't know why. And people are like, yeah, because you rig it. But you're seeing here with our elections like how people vote, and like with the everybody, especially with social media and all this other stuff, like Bernie Sanders, the generational people spreading a lot of that stuff, and like with that base, you see it's more within the younger millennials, and you see it like on the Facebook and the social media, and so it's in your face. You think like, oh my God, is this socialist communist dude going to be voted into power? Yeah. But then you realize like, oh no, he's actually getting crushed by Biden. Yeah. And you realize, because there's that's like kind of like shows how well designed our country is. We're like, oh no, the populace, like you have to consider everything, and it's like you can't go to town on these crazy things and like, well, everybody should want that. Like, no, not everybody wants that, because people understand basic economics, and they understand give and take, and they understand free trade, and they understand like free enterprise and things that drive the market. You can't like. I think Jordan Peterson said something about like something insane about the communists when back in the Cold War. They had to make decisions on every single product. Like, what does a nail cost? because there's no relativity of what a nail costs. Like
No.
a nail, like because the market decides.
The market doesn't decide.
Because like computers, what should a computer cost? Back in the 80s, it cost $20,000. Like my parents, like my mom got like some sort of like, I don't know if it was a student grant or something, or if they took out a loan or whatever, but they bought a computer, and that was like a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Like that she could do homework at home, and that they had, I think, connection to the school or something like
That's
that.
fucking nuts.
It was wild.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now the prices drop down. You go buy a shitty ass laptop for like $200 and you're in the game. I mean, like it's standard now for like kids to have laptops in schools. So that's the market drives that though. So it's like a nail can actually be worth $10 a nail if it goes out of like, if it becomes people need it and there's a high demand, but there's just not enough nails. So a nail isn't always $1.
No,
a nail can and you have different qualities of nail. Like a hammer doesn't always cost, like you go to a store right now, there's a hammer that's small that can cost $2, or there's a hammer that's $20 that's bigger. The government can't decide which one's which, and then on top of that, what's the quality process over it? So it's like the Soviet Union was making some like 1,000 times a day or something. They were making, trying to do costs.
That's such an insane drag on the government.
God, yeah.
How many people you would have to employ, and where's the money coming to employ those people that are deciding this stuff? I mean, that's just such an insane drag on everything.
And that's the other thing too, is like, like again, going back to China, like everybody, we clear they work within the free markets, but you see the uprising that people do in Hong Kong. You see that it's not thousands or hundreds of thousands like we have protests, and it's a big deal when you have but that's the entire country coming out for some protest or whatever. Yeah. But I mean, they had millions and millions of people. And you see that the government is just broken when it comes to that aspect, especially like Big Brother, China, and the social recognition system.
It's so scary what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Blade Runner 20,
I was gonna say,
2049.
Do they cover this like in school, like all the social norms that are within China, like the facial recognition technology, the police state? Basically, they won't let people leave if you have so many hits against your personal profile.
Not a whole lot, but my teacher kind of talks about it a little bit. So there's a thing called WeChat.
Yeah, WeChat. Yeah, I've heard about that.
That's the biggest thing. So she has WeChat because she's originally from China.
Yeah.
And she'll send stuff to her friends back in mainland China.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll be like, "What did you say?" Like it came up blank.
Yeah.
Like, what? So she'll screenshot it and send it to them
as a photo,
see what they missed.
Yeah.
Because the government in the middle of the message interrupted it and deleted it.
Yeah.
Because it was against the
China,
fucking government.
It criticized the government.
So and then that's how they pay people. They don't use like credit cards. They connect their credit cards to WeChat.
Get the fuck
And you can
out.
pay people through WeChat.
So they shut down your accounts.
So they can
do all that.
They can do all that.
That is wild.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yep. So my teacher is like, if you ever go to China, use WeChat because that's how you're usually going to be paying people.
Yeah.
But I mean, the government's stopping people sending messages through WeChat. So what could they do with your bank information? All this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to think about.
That is wild.
Yeah.
So like, wow, that is great. I didn't know that. I thought you just kind of like go to like any other country and be like, oh yeah, here's, like I have $1,000 or something.
Yep.
And then
So pretty much everybody's using WeChat apparently.
Well, the other thing too is like you see how this, here's like the best case scenario. Like China's the best. I don't even say best. It's like the best argument for people that support communism.
Oh
and
yeah, it's the
socialism.
pinnacle.
It's the pinnacle. But they are open and free market. Yeah. And what people it's like then you see what happened with coronavirus. You see how it failed. They try to suppress doctors and they try to suppress everybody.
Oh yeah.
And then then the outbreak happens and they have to shut everything down. Yep. Like everything is shut down.
All
because
the district leaders got fired. They got hammed up and now they're fucking out of the picture.
Yeah.
So their whole family's probably blacklisted from the government.
Exactly. Yeah. And now you're fucked.
Yeah.
And just the effect that has, and it's like, and then on top of that, their industries. One of the things that with the Trump, with the embargo or whatever with China, the China deal, a lot of people don't understand this, but the IP that China is stealing. China was stealing all our intellectual property, and that was the big hit against China because they were manufacturing. Everything gets innovated in the U.S., but then it gets outsourced to China because it's cheaper to make. but all the innovations come from the U.S. It comes from Western nations, but mostly the U.S., especially when it comes to medicine, when it comes to everything. And then what they do is they outsource it, and then they steal it. Yeah. And then what they do is then they spread out like, oh, here's the knockoff version or whatever. But by that point, it's fine. But when there's no free market to drive that innovation of like, we need a new medicine for this, China's not the one doing it. They can't do it because they steal it. It's like the kid that gets A's from stealing, copying. Copying you, and then you get out of the picture. That kid fails. He can't do anything.
Absolutely.
You can't move on from there because he doesn't know anything.
When I was following the Hong Kong protests very carefully, the Hong Kong protesters would compare themselves to the mainland Chinese. So the Hong Kongers are very much like us, very free thinkers and everything like that, democratically driven. Yeah. And then they compare themselves to mainlanders. Yeah. Mainlanders are just like, you put me on a track and I go. There's no free thought in it at all. They're very constrictive. Yeah. They don't, because they want to play it safe. They have to play within the social parameters of you don't want to look too good, but you don't want to look bad. So then there's no innovation. It's just, hey, you're going to do this and you're going to run with it. Yeah. And that's like their line. Yeah. They don't have an open field. It's just a little narrow pathway that they follow. Yeah. So there's no real innovation like you're saying.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That innovation drives everything. I mean, like, and when people were like, well, they built, there were some funny memes out there that was like, it said when China builds 9 hospitals in 4 days, but the I-35W isn't finished yet. It shows that like the bear like looking back and forward again. But that's true. But they're also like welding people inside their homes. Like they're stopping and locking them in their homes. Like this is straight martial law because they can't handle it, because it just got out of control. And on top of that, those hospitals aren't there to be hospitals. They're there to quarantine people and to either have them die in there and just sustain it. At this point, they're not innovating anything for the virus. No. It's actually like up to our CDC and like Western European CDCs to then come up with a cure and or a way to mitigate. Because basically they're locking people in hospitals. Like it's absolutely. Like they built a hospital. It doesn't mean it's an actual hospital. It's basically a prison. Everybody goes in there, they treat the symptoms, and then they die. Like there's no like, they're probably trying to treat it, but you can't tell me that China's definitely, we are not prepared for this. Not to scare people, all 10 of my listeners. we're not prepared in a certain aspect, but we can actually help develop and quarantine, and messages will get out. And right now you're seeing that battle happen over social media, and it's the wealth of information. You're seeing it with you're seeing two different. That's what we said. Sucks about politics is it is becoming like, Trump and the Republicans are like, don't worry, it's not that big a deal, but we're getting on it. And then you have the Democrats, saying, hey, this thing's the end of the world. It's like, well, no, neither one is correct. Yeah. We need to get the main line. And on top of that, people just want instant cure. There is no instant cure for things. Like that's one of the things that we were talking about with with the Joe Rogan he just had on. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was on the podcast like 2-3 days ago. And I guess they had just like within when the corona was starting to become a thing, like they got like a hold of the guy, and he's from the U of M. He's from Minnesota here. That's crazy. He's like a virologist or like some sort of biologist, and he had like a really good take. He's like, be very, very concerned. He's like, he goes, coronavirus has been around for a while, and it finally jumped from animals to human. And he said that's what happened. It's scary. It made the jump. And so they have samples of the old coronavirus. He's like, it's been around, but it finally made the jump. And that he's like, it's not weaponized. It's not. He's like, none of that's true. He's like, it's not weaponized. He goes, you can basically kind of carbon date germs. You can kind of find out like, this was created here. You can find out where it kind of originated, how old it is. And he's like, they did not design this in a lab in China. This was straight. It jumped from an animal to a human.
And it's crazy to see the evolution.
Yeah.
I mean, this just evolved. And that's a fucking scary thing to think
about. I think what scares people is like, because the symptoms aren't as crazy. I mean, it's aggressive. By all means, it's aggressive. But I think there's like, he's saying basically like, if you're not even showing symptoms for 2 weeks, which is crazy in itself. Yeah. It's highly contagious.
And that it can transmit while you're not showing symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. And he said like they've taken samples out of people's mouths that aren't showing symptoms, and they have like an insane amount of the virus like out of control amount. So they're like, that's why it transmits so easily, is that you're not showing, and then you're the amount of virus that's located in your body is like off the charts. Yeah. And it's kind of like, like they said, it attacks elderly people typically more, but then it also has like, he said something to like some younger people, but he said, if you're actually, he was kind of funny. He was like, if you're in shape, if you work out, he's like, keep working out. It helps if you're healthy, take your vitamins. He's like, so it's not, it is killing people, but it's not killing people at a crazy rapid rate. But at the same time though, you're like, okay, I think what's scaring people is how fast it spreads.
Oh, yeah.
Like if it was something like, oh, it doesn't spread until somebody shows symptoms, then you can actually
you can quarantine. There's a strategy behind it.
But right now, because we don't know who has it and we can't and then it's clearly they're trying to come up with test kits and everybody's saying, hey, like we're quarantined and then we got to get the test kits. Like this thing came out of nowhere per se. And now people are trying to, they're trying, like I said, they're trying to politicize beyond anything. No one's prepared for this. No one.
Absolutely not.
Either side of the aisle, any government, no one's prepared for this. But they're taking the steps and the measures to start working towards it. Yeah.
It's crazy because one person that's uncontrolled, it's just out in the wild. I mean, then you lose complete control, and you see that it's completely out in the wild. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But I think the coronavirus is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, not that the people dying is a good thing.
No.
But it shows the weakness of all the governments and how our globalization is weakening us in a lot of things. And I liked Tim Pool's kind of take on it, that this is going to raise a lot of nationalism in a lot of different countries.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's going to get a little bit more self-reliance and controlling of borders and such like that.
I agree with you.
Which is crazy.
I agree with you. I think that's a cool thing because even the last few days I've thought about that. I was like, because I've been putting things off for like years. I'm like, that's a good idea. I should do that. And now I'm like, I should go fucking do that this week. Like there's things out this week and next week I'm going to go do, which is like, i.e., like just stock up on a few more, like not go crazy prepper, but it's kind of like, there's another meme too that was out there. It said like, remember how you all call me crazy for being a prepper? Who's laughing now? And like, and I don't think it's to that extent. But at the same time, though, there's nothing like even my parents growing up, like they weren't preppers by any means. But I remember we always had canned food, always did, always had canned.
And smart.
And it's not, and it wasn't. My mom's like, just in case something happens, we have some food. And it was never like, the end of the world. Everybody's
like you're
fantasy.
Not gonna eat it later.
Some fantasy scenario. Like it was always, and like I don't know if it's the same way. Maybe most households do. You just kind of like keep soup around, like you buy it and you just never eat it, but it's like good for years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, it's like, I'm like, oh, well, we should probably get a few more just in case we have to go on lockdown for a week or two.
Yeah.
Like, just in case. So, like, you could cut your calorie intake. And guess what? We're just going to hang out and watch Netflix all day. And that's what you're doing.
That's what they're doing in Wuhan right now.
Yeah, that's what they're doing in Wuhan right now. And that's
over
what,
a month.
like, in the West Coast is, like, they're getting real close with how they want to start handling things.
Yep. San Diego went into a state of emergency.
Did they?
Like, a few weeks ago.
Okay, so they're kind of, like, slowly. Because I know, speaking of that, actually, we'll keep talking about the self-reliance thing is like a really big deal, and I always talk about too with some people. I'm like, look, like it's not. They always say it's like what we have, the society we live in now is people take it for granted. Like, don't ever think that this is
house of cards.
This is exactly. Exactly, and it's not. Maybe it is a virus. Maybe it's something else. But all it takes is one power shortage, whatever it comes from. All it takes is one power outage that communications go down, electricity goes down, and give it 1 week. Katrina, that all chaos breaks loose. If you cannot find, like in our culture right now, in our society, at least within the U.S., if you cut off all communication in the most urban areas, and without warning or without any type of explanation, chaos. Chaos.
3 days in total anarchy.
You're talking about people with no food. You're talking everything. You're talking break-ins. You can't eat. What are you going to do with your family? You're out of gas. You're going to try to run out? Do you know where you are? Do you even know how to get out of your neighborhood? Do you know how to which highways to take? Your GPS is done. Your phone's done. There's no one coming for you. You have no idea what's going on in the outside world. You don't know what's going on. And that's just a communications blackout, and with like a power blackout. That's all that is. And you could turn it on after 2 weeks. But there would be a lot of people dead by 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of like think about that, and then you think like, oh, well, and then that's just, but most people in the suburbs or even farmlands, like, whatever. And you see how crazy that culture is different. Like people 20 miles away from you will murder and kill themselves, like riot, murder, and they'll kill you.
To take your shit.
But like 20 miles away, they're like, yeah, I don't know what you guys' problem is. Like, we live on the farm. Like, we got the animals. Like, we don't really hang out on social media because we work all day. You know what I mean? Like, And yeah, I turn the TV off. You know, like sucks. I can't. You know, that's it. I mean, and so, you know, I think that self-reliance is like a good thing. I think it's
huge.
Good to know. Like you said, you don't have to become a prepper, but there's probably a few things that you should have on hand all the time. Like, i.e. some food, extra ammo, have a few, like, you don't have to be like a crazy.
I bought a bunch of gallons of water. I bought a bunch of food, like dehydrated stuff.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I was like, oh, maybe I should hop online. And like somebody was like, yeah, they already sold. I was like, yeah, it makes sense. You know, I should have bought that 3-4 years ago when I knew I should have and I had the money. And like some other stuff too, like, hey, buy a few extra shotgun shells for defense or hunting some birds. Maybe you want to, you know, pick up a book on how to skin a deer. Like, just like these, like I said, these aren't, you know, what hunters do all the time.
Oh, yeah.
These are lost skills on most people that if push come to shove, they're not hard to learn, but if you just don't have a base knowledge of it or have something to reference to, it's not the worst idea in the world to go buy a book on how to skin a deer.
Absolutely.
Like how to dress and skin a deer, or how to shoot a rabbit and skin a rabbit. It's a tiny little book. You go pick up at Barnes & Noble and you're just like, oh, that's it. Like, and just throw it in your closet and that's it. And like, so something like they said, the self-reliance, you can project it more to nationalism and everything else, but like, yeah, I agree. I
think it's going to be a good effect for everybody in the world.
Exactly. And I think what I hope comes out of this, and that's what he talked about in the podcast, he said they still don't have vaccines for Zika. They still don't have vaccines for all these viruses that we got, like Nile, like all the stuff that we were scared of a few years ago. Like we had all these pandemic scares. They never got solved. They just kind of went away. And so he had a good point where I was like, I think it's a very bipartisan issue, at least in our country, and then other nations should take note too, is we don't have backup stocks or we don't have backup supplies of vaccines or even like basic medicines.
That was a crazy thing for China. We outsource a lot of our medicine to China. And I know because they're shutting down supply lines, the CDC is worried because we're short on like 150 different types of medication and like antibiotics.
Yeah, which is like basic antibiotics too. Like people are on it every day. That it's like they're already kind of short when there was before the virus. Now you don't know. And I think that's a good wake-up call. I think that's something that hopefully at the end of all this, that the government, not, you know, everybody in our government / in other governments should be wary of. Like there should be, just like you have weapons, munition stockpiles, because we do, that there should be, you know, CDC stockpiles of just basic antibiotics, basic, you know, I don't know about IV bags. Somebody talked about IV bags. I was like, well, IV bags can go bad. So like, I get that. So that would cost a lot more to maintain, but even keeping fresh antibiotics or fresh, you know, or just switch them out. Like there should always be a cycling stock of something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even if they have to replace it, then they put it back into the public, you know, whatever. Even if it's generic shit, you still need it. Like there should still be stockpiles of medicine, which is kind of shocking. Like I said, I thought you would.
It's crazy to think.
It makes sense if you ever never needed it.
Yeah, if you've got a supply chain always going. It's crazy to think about. Globalization got shut down by a fucking virus that barely kills like 2% of the victims. Yeah. And it got shut down because of that. Yeah. So you really think globalization's really going to work? I don't think so.
And like, I think that, you know, global trade and everything is great, but I do agree with you when it comes to, I mean, look, like, you know, it can all, as we're seeing now, it's great to have products coming from China and it's cheaper. It's, you know, but now you see what happens where I think Tim Pool did bring it up where he's like, it's not so much that we cut off everything with China and that we won't make things in China, but there will be backup factories in Mexico. There'll be backup factories in Canada or in India, so that if something does happen, it doesn't shut off all supplies completely. Whereas like we're kind of in a world of hurt right now, but we can also manage to start pumping things out on our own. And I honestly think that when it comes to the shortage like that, or I mean, yeah, they manufacture in China, but goddamn, the pharmaceutical companies are going to make a ton of money because they can switch that, turn that. Come on, you know, give it a week, they'll build a factory and they'll start pumping shit out. Oh yeah. They have all the patents. We have everything. We know how to make it. Granted, the supplies and stuff know how to make it, but I got a feeling you throw enough money at, you know, the companies,
it's gone.
Yeah, and now it's like, but you know, they're gonna prop it up, charge out the ass, everybody gets what they want. But I think a big thing is learning from this when it eventually passes, because it'll pass. But it's going to be 5-6 months down the road.
Oh yeah.
Or 3-4 months down the road, or however you want to spin it. That it'll, you know, we'll figure it out. People, you know, like I said, people are going to die from it, but it's going to be what can we do in the aftermath?
I think it's a good shock to the system.
Yeah, I think so
to
too.
Wake up everybody.
Yeah, I'd agree to that. In a serious tone, I think it's a good shock to the system, being like, hey, take care of yourself. Because that's the other thing too. He was like, be healthy, take care of yourself. That your body is going to fight it. People do get infected. People do die. A lot of people are surviving it because within our system, because we are much healthier. But that's not everything. You still need the meds to back it up. But one of the reasons why the Western countries and the U.S. is fairly better is just because we have our standard of living is so much higher. Our immune systems are so much better. We get vaccinated. We have antibiotics. Through our whole lives, we're healthy. Our immune systems are healthy. We're eating better. Like, even though people we're obese and whatever, it's still healthier than being starved and having really shitty drinking from shitty water supplies and all that kind of stuff. Like, our body can take it. So I it's wild to see.
Oh yeah, it's crazy to see.
Yeah, so I do agree with you. I think it's a good wake up call. That I don't think it's a wake up call as in like half the population is going to burn out and everybody's going to die. But I think it's a good wake up call that once, not even if this blows over, but during this process, that we come up with contingency plans, that everybody's more self-reliant. Everybody should know how to self-sustain themselves. And maybe for you don't have to do it for years on end, but know how to self-sustain yourself for at least 2-3 weeks to a month. And then after that, you can start panicking. Like, I get it. like if everything starts going to shit and after a month everything's still going to shit, and then you just start to panic, go into a little bit of a panic mode. But like my Eddie's in Paris, and they shut down Milan. His wife is from Italy. Yeah. So I asked him, because they own a flat in Italy, in Milan, Italy, and then they own a house or a apartment in Paris. So I was like, man, how's everything going? You guys all right? He's like, yeah. He goes, we're in Paris. Everything's good in Paris right now. Italy's on lockdown. It's spreading pretty fast there, but they're shutting everything down. Again, Italy, love Italy, visit it. Italy's government is horribly corrupt, and it's weak. It is a shit government. They are ran by the mafia still. Like, they still have tons of mafia ties within their government of corruption. And this is within the last 2-3 years. Like, they still try to prosecute. Their unemployment rate for young teens, early 20s is like 40-some%. Or I want to say it's something stupid high.
And then everybody from Libya hopping over there and going across illegally.
Oh,
they just kind of welcome them in.
And it dropped their
insane.
Yep. And so that caused a lot of economic strife, and all they have is like tourism. They have a wine industry, but it's not strong enough to support the government. Their taxes are high. Like, it's ridiculous. In fact, they had to start going to outside sources to support the UNESCO heritage sites because they could no longer afford to keep them open. So there are a lot of, ironically, rich Chinese and Japanese businessmen have been buying it up, and or not buying the site, but they are basically running the site, and they can run roughshod over it, which is kind of like, well, you dug yourself into a fucking hole. If it's like, you either have the guy do it, or basically it's an open park and people piss and shit all over the, Pompeii, so that's what happens. And so, and they can't afford, they just can't do it. No. So I think you're seeing a lot of the issues come into play of the nationalization of government, and that it just doesn't help with what we're doing now. And I'm not saying our healthcare system is the best either, but at least we have the industry that produces the medicines that, yes, it's expensive, but there's a reason why. There's a reason why we produce everything and everybody steals our shit. And it's fine because, hey, go for it. But that's where, companies aren't going to innovate, because if you keep stealing their shit and not paying them for it, then they're not going to innovate anymore. Because what's the point? Again, what's the point of the innovation if you're not going to make any money off of it, and or you're not going to see a profit on the back end, even if you don't make a lot of money off it in the front end? What's the point? Who cares? And then something happens like this, the government gets involved, you're already behind now, all that shit. So, yeah. So anyways, Eddie, I don't know, they're gonna rant there. Eddie, I was like, hey, you guys all right? You guys okay? And he's like, yeah, we're good. He goes, although people are being stupid, so anything remotely tied to Italy or Italian people, in Paris, nobody's going to. So the pizzerias are empty, like all the Italian coffee shops. Like,
same thing with like
all the
Chinese people
Yeah.
across the world. Like
Yeah.
people are, if you looked Asian,
Yeah.
you're getting your fucking ass beat.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah?
I think that happened in a few different countries.
Oh,
like,
Jesus. Well, that's a bit more rough shot.
That's a little bit rougher, but I
that's
mean,
yeah.
then you see the weird nationalism
Yeah.
rising up, which
That's not
isn't
good,
bad,
yeah.
but that's to the extreme where it is bad.
Oh yeah, that is bad. Yeah, exactly. But like, you'll feel bad for the pizzeria owner, you
Oh,
know, who's
yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm good," you
Yeah.
know, like
I'm clean. I'm actually from Ireland.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, really, yeah. He's like, it's just Italian. I said it was Italian. I'm not actually Italian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a franchise. You know?
There's White Castle here,
yeah,
man.
Yeah,
Come
right.
on.
Yeah. So, you want to side? You want side?
Outside time?
Yep. Here, keep talking. I'll
All right.
talk about China.
Oh, China. So now it's just me talking about China. So what else can I talk about? One of these days I'll have to get my buddy Michael Gannon on, because he did. I don't know if I covered this before, but he went to Hong Kong to cover the protests, and he at the low level he was with the protesters, so he kind of saw the inside a little bit to a fraction of the degree. But one of these days I'll have to get him on, or else he can write me a script to talk about these things, because he's out on the East Coast. Wonderful guy. I served with him in 1st Battalion, 87th Infantry Regiment. But he talked about, okay, if the reason that everybody's covering up their faces and such like that is if they catch wind of you with their ID, with their face scanners and AI technology, they can say, okay, we know who this person is. All right, who's their family? And then they can annex them. And if they're in the mainland China, they're getting fucked up. Like, they're going to the prison up in the northwestern province, I believe, is the prison, next to where the big, massive Muslim population is in China.
Really?
Yeah. So I think that's where the prisons are.
Oof.
And shit like that. But yeah, the Hong Kong riots, mostly because of like the extradition law, but also
because
they want to be their own country.
Yeah, they want to. Yeah, exactly. Well, didn't it kind of stem to because Britain just left? Like, that was the deal.
Yep. So it was like, I think, a 40 or 60 year plan.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to end, and Hong Kong would become a part of mainland China in like 2040 or something like that.
Okay.
But China's trying to like expedite that by like getting influence and such like that. So that's what they're kind of resisting. And then Hong Kong wants to be its own thing and not be a part of mainland China.
Wow. Good luck with that.
Yeah, fuck. We'd have to intervene for that.
I was gonna say, yeah, because Taiwan has their own fucking issues,
Mm-hmm.
and Taiwan is its own like island,
Yeah.
and like Taiwanese people hate mainland China, and the
Oh, yeah,
mainland.
they all
it's
hate
like,
mainland
when it
China.
comes to
It's
like
crazy.
a lot of the, you know, the was it the China Sea or whatever? We have a lot of issues going on there because they'll try to push in, and
They're
like
building their own fake islands, to
yeah.
extend their
Reach.
borders and such like that,
Yep,
which is
yep.
crazy.
Which is like wild if you think about it. Like, it's insane. Like it, like they are, like I said, the people at the top are staying in that government for like the strategy
long as they
is
live.
as long as they live. So these plans get carried out. Whereas like our presidents are only in for 4 to 8 years and then moves on to another administration. Like, these guys have been around. They're playing the long game. They're looking at 50, 60 years from now. And then when they die, they have people taking over as predecessors. You know, that'll be another, like, they're looking at the 100-year plans basically. You know, they're
It's
the
scary
long game.
because they have those economic resources that the Soviet Union never had. So
Yes.
we might not be able to beat them in an economic war.
No, exactly.
And they're catching up
Well,
militarily pretty fast.
Guess what just happened though? Coronavirus.
Oh, yeah, coronavirus.
What just happened that shut them down?
Yeah.
And that could easily wipe out their population because they are so dense and they're on top of each other and they have those factory workers. And like, I mean, this is a wake up call for China and honestly strategy too. Like, you think about it, like it really is like
We see where they're weak.
where they're weak or like, you know, it's still like, you know, it spreads quickly. But I mean, when you don't spread, like, hate it or not, in America, our information gets spread like wildfire. If you want it to spread, it'll spread.
Yep.
Like, especially something significant as Corona. We knew about it 2-3 weeks ago, and people started to really be like, okay, what's going on? And then the first hit, and we were, you know, and granted, there's a lot of disinformation or there's too much information out there. at least we have all the information. Like, you got people being like, the flu killed more people. Then they're like, yes, that's true, but it's way more aggressive than the flu. So you're kind of like, you're getting hit with all this information. Yeah. But in China, they're just like, they just suppressed it. The government's like, nope, turn anything really corona, just shut it down. Shut it down. Until people are dying and there's rapid, it spreads like wildfire. And then they're like, oh shit. So like right there, you already see the weakness of their government. You already see the reason why we have free speech in the First Amendment. The suppression of that is deadly. Yeah. And it's not even in like it's a government sense, but it's not something imposed by like government people, rounding people up. This is straight up from a virus that just starts killing people.
They're very hive-minded, and if we took out their leaders, they're just, what do we do? What do we do? So I guess that's a strategy right there.
It is.
Take
it
out
is.
The high guys, because nobody.
Yeah, it's too top heavy. Yeah. And that's a lot of issues you see with a lot of countries that are too top heavy, and communism is that way. Communism is a top heavy government. It's always about the people at the top and everybody else below them, because when they say it's socialism and communism strip you of your human rights, that's true, because you're not thinking of the individual, you're thinking of the collective. You're thinking about the good of the collective, and when you step into that territory, it's extremely dangerous and it gets extremely violent very quickly. Yeah. If you are willing to, people that they'll say that's it for the good of everyone. Like if people start saying like, well, it's good of everyone, it's good for the people. It's like, no, it's not, because that's when you start killing off. That's eugenics. That's exactly the territory that people started going down in the early 20th century that led to like World War II. Mm-hmm. Like that's what Nazi socialists did with the eugenics was also like, it was never done in the U.S. It was done in Europe. But I know there's doctors that backed up in the 20s in the U.S. that were like, hey, this might be a good idea. But then you see it actually carried out. Yeah, and before the death camps in Germany, they did that with old people and people with disabilities. They killed them. That's how that was the blueprint before the war kicked off. Like there's a really good documentary about it where they started testing carbon monoxide poisoning on old people because they're worthless to society. Yep. And like you said, as a collective, that's true. Like old people and people with disabilities are.
How are we going to get the most value out of them?
And that's a dangerous ideal to go down and that's what makes us human. Like we protect our weak and we protect our own, and we also protect our weirdos. We protect our artists. The strong protect the weak. The strong protect the intellectual minded, because you can't always just be the strong.
What does art have to play in the survival of the race? Nothing. Really.
It doesn't. Not at all, because you see it play out in nature. But as humans, we are completely different. Like we care for, like people always say, it's always a good line. It's we bury our dead. Like no one else does. Like, there's nothing else that does that. We bury our dead, which is like a huge thing. So, when it comes to these ideologies, when people, that's the inevitable road that it goes down, is that it's all right. It's just whatever. What?
It's a step back.
Yeah, exactly. You're saying, well, why? They're old. Like, why should we take care of them? And you're like, because they're human. And like, as anybody else would say, but when it comes to nationalism or I'm sorry, not nationalism, socialism and putting free healthcare into the system in the hands of the government, why would you try to give an elderly person a surgery for cancer? Yeah. They're in their 80s. Why? Why should we treat anybody over the age of
2-3 years?
Yeah. Why? Why should we? Why? Because and I'm not saying why myself. I'm saying when it comes to
when you're in that
the government
frame of
a socialist government will say there's no benefit for anyone over the age of 70 to get treatment for cancer. They've already lived their lives. No, we're not going to spend money on it. Yeah. Or no, they don't carry on our cause, or they've always criticized our government. Let them die. Yeah. And that's the road it will go down. Mm-hmm. And like, especially like in America, people talk about other countries. It's like, look, our healthcare system, as much as it's expensive, and I do believe that it's broken in some aspects. Oh yeah. We have amazing healthcare. We really do. And everybody, the false sense of like, you don't get treated, you absolutely get treated. In fact, the people that get burned the most are the people that follow the rules. And that's the shittiest part, is that if you are a drug addict or anything else, and I've seen this firsthand, you have pills or like med, psych meds or anything like that, you pay $5 for the bottle. That's it. Because you're a prisoner going in and out of society or whatever, and you're on unemployment and you collect the money, or you're on basically government subsidies. And I've seen that firsthand. But if you're someone like us who pay our bills, we make decent amount of money a year, we're paying out the ass for healthcare. If we don't, like, we're in the Guard, so we get a really good discount on healthcare. but we also sacrifice a lot for it because we sign contracts to the U.S. military. But people that are outside of that, like you will pay out the ass for surgeries or for
Get
upfront
eaten alive
fees.
by those bills.
Yeah, and it's just like, that sucks because now you're you've done everything right, but you break your hand and you do have to pay $2,000 out of pocket. Well, I didn't think that. Well, that was your your minimum or whatever. But if you didn't have a system, or if you're just not paying into it, like if you have a record, like if you have, like they can track you down, they will charge you for that. But if you're just in the system as like a like a piece of shit and you're going in and out of prison or whatever, they're not going to come. There's no money to get out of you, but you will get health care. You will get treated. You walk into an ER, they will treat you. They have to by law.
Yeah.
So technically we do have health care to everyone, but it's just certain tiers that are like
affected more than others.
Yep. And what sucks is people that do get burned that follow the rules, but they only make $40,000 or $50,000 as a combined income, and that ruins people.
It does.
So because it does take one health bill that will totally fuck you up. And so I do think that part of the system is broken slightly, but at the same time we have high regulation, we have very high standards. We innovate everything, so you're kind of like, it's a for-profit, it's subsidized, it's just all over the map. So, I think one of the good things that Trump did was sign that bill that I don't know when it takes into effect, but that healthcare providers have to show
what you're paying
upfront
for.
costs. Yeah, like not like, oh, here's the bill at the end of it, because I've gotten that where it's like, hey, this is what it costs, but they have to tell you what it costs exactly before you go through with it.
Yeah.
Which I think is
huge.
great. Which I think is huge because you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go over to this hospital.
Yeah,
like, well, you're not
their
network.
price.
I'll be like, well, this is what they're charging network. What are you guys gonna charge? They'd be like, oh shit, we'll knock off $400 or $500.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing too is like I've never really had to do much. I've done like private practice stuff, so it's like I paid out of pocket for that because that's private practice.
Yeah.
But like plastic surgery. But like when I haven't really done anything major. So when I got my my root canal, it was when everything went fine.
Yeah.
But they were like, yeah, it's going to cost around $1,500. So it would cost me $1,500 out of pocket. That's what it costs. Yeah. They then sent me the bill, and it was $1,500. They charged TRICARE. TRICARE sent me a letter. It was like, do not pay the bill. I'm like, okay. Like, because it's the first time I've gone, ironically, I'm 32. It's the first time I've gone down that road because I've paid everything out of pocket before because I've never really needed anything. So just luckily, I've been lucky that way. And they were like, oh yeah, so it costs $1,500. TRICARE's like, yeah, we're not paying $1,500. Here's $800. I'm like, okay. And they took the $800. So I'm like, and I was confused. I was like, do I pay the other $600? They're like, no, just no. So
I remember this. Before deployment. That fucking debacle.
Yeah. Well, no, this was like a month ago. 2 months. This is like 2 months ago. Yeah, I had to get a root canal. No, the other one was just putting the cap in.
Yeah.
And then I just waited till we went on orders, and then they did it anyway. I actually never went to a civilian doctor for that because eventually, when we finally like had to go through the process to deploy, they just gave me the fill-ins.
Nice.
I was like, cool.
Good.
Yeah. So, but now, so it's kind of weird. That was really weird. I was like, wait a minute. Like you said it was $1,500. But then you don't get your $1,500. The insurance company's like, no, we're gonna pay you $800, and you're like, okay, whatever. And I'm like, that's a fucking terrible system. Yeah. Like it should only cost, because if you're willing to take $800, then it should only cost $800.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But if I didn't have health insurance or if I didn't have dental insurance, it would have cost me $1,500. I can't negotiate with them. Yeah. And be like, yeah, I'm not gonna pay that. I'll pay you $800. They'll be like, no, here's the law. And
here's a lawsuit.
Yeah, and then exactly. And now here we're going to, and then they can go after your pay, like, you know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, well, we're going to take it out of your next paycheck. Like, that's insane. Yeah. That's an insane. So I agree with people saying with healthcare that it should be somewhat revamped, but it's a hard thing to do. Like I think you're messing with people's medical, and I don't think it's a human right, but at the same time, I think there should be a better industry on that. Like they say it's a human right. It's not
like
a human
insulin.
Right. Yeah.
The insane fucking prices on insulin where people are fucking saying, oh, my dog needs insulin and using it on themselves.
Yeah. That's an insane. Exactly. That shouldn't have to be.
That shouldn't exist.
There should be an insulin where there should be companies creating insulin, or, supply and demand. But at the same time, like, I don't understand why that would go up even though it's been cheaper. You know what I mean? Like, they adjust prices. So it's kind of like they do have you by the balls a little bit. I guess it's not like it's a Like, it's not like you need an iPhone. You can live without an iPhone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more of a commodity, whereas healthcare is more of like you need it or you die per se. So I can understand why now that changes the industry greatly, but at the same time, I think there should be more competition and trying to lower prices.
Absolutely.
So,
because I think it's maybe like 3 companies that produce all the insulin or something like that, and it's like super hard to produce because you need so much infrastructure.
Yeah.
So I guess
and also people are willing to pay that, and that's what sucks about our country. Go into like Mexico and go buy meds. Dude, you don't even
out of this world.
Out of this world. Like if you have an infection, you just go down to like the local pharmacy and you get antibiotics.
Yep.
Here you pay $20 copay or $50 copay, and then that's just to see the doc to be like, oh yeah, you have it. I was like, well, no shit, Dip. You know, it didn't take me fucking 8 years of medical school to figure out that I need to get antibiotics, but I have to go to you because you have to prescribe them to me, and then you have to go pay for this prescription, and that can cost you, I don't know how much, like 50, another 50. So you're like $150 in.
No, you don't have it.
You don't need
hand.
to. Yeah. And it's like, it's not that big a deal to be like, hey, can I just like get antibiotics? So when you go into other, granted, I think there's a different culture, but you go with like Central America, like I remember going into pharmacy, you could buy like everything. It was like steroids. It was, well, even in Dubai, you go and you buy antibiotics. But it's like, yeah, you're sick. Yeah, go buy some fucking good
shit
stuff.
at the corner.
Yeah, shit on the corner. It's there. Whereas like in America, you need a prescription.
Yep.
It's like almost too regulated to that point. We're like, well, we need to make sure that you're doing it. I'm like, well, I get people can take too many, like I get that, but at the same time it's like, you know, well, people just it's you're making it overcomplicated. It's overcomplicated. It's kind of like stuff I agree with, like with government overreach, with like when people start collecting, was it like it's illegal to collect like rainwater?
Yeah.
You know, like shit like that, or like
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Or it's like simple shit sometimes, and you're like, if you buy a piece of land, like you can't. There's that one guy I know. There was an article. I don't know how blown out of proportion it was, but he like wanted to live off grid, but he bought property, and they wouldn't let him build on his own property.
Yeah,
like you need
like
zoning, and you need, you know, like. And I understand some standards, but at the same time, like there should just be a waiver release that's just like, you accept all responsibilities, and you know what I mean. Like I'm just gonna build a little tin hut.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's not with regulation. Like,
And guess
well,
what?
I
If
don't
you
care.
try and resell this thing, we can't back you up, so you're taking your own liability into account.
Exactly. Yep. No, I agree. And yeah, so that's what I mean. It's like stuff like that you're kind of like, I don't know. You know, it's annoying. You know, government strips away a lot of freedoms with that. And now, granted, I know, like I said, our government's pretty solid. You know, it's state to state, things change, but you know, we live it pretty damn good here. So
We do.
Is what it is. But it's you know, way better than fucking China. We're doing a lot better than they are doing.
Free Hong Kong, fuck China.
Kind of like one of those deals where it's like, hate to be them.
Yep.
But you know, even on the West Coast and like everything else, although it was really funny, the guy that you would think that they were doing a good thing, but he was talking about the cruise liner that's been on the coast.
Yeah.
He was like, and Joe Rogan asked him, he's like, is that a good idea to do that because then they don't come to the main? He goes, that's a terrible idea. He's like, get them off of that boat because that's airborne. And basically, or whatever, he goes, that air is recycling constantly. He's like, you could have 3 people sick on there and the whole ship is infected
it's done.
because they've been quarantined onto the ship. And I was like, oh, that's a really good point. But it's someone smarter than me figuring shit out like that. He's like, get them off, but get them quarantined into like a facility because then you can see who is infected and who's not.
I kind of disagree with that because there was the Japanese cruise liner.
Yeah.
And we had some Americans there.
Yeah.
And we brought them back to the States. And I think we released one because they tested negative.
Oh, really?
But then they got tested again. They tested positive, and they had to find them, track them down, and pull them back.
No shit.
So government's going to fuck it up regardless.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Yeah,
in
it's a
the
give
play
take.
of things, I'm like,
Yeah.
keep them away.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that what he was saying, though, is get them back to the mainland, but then get them into a quarantine for a few weeks, isolated. So isolate them just so that you're not recycling the air on this cruise ship. You know, like get them in a wider space, get it open air, get it so that they can just, you know, not recycling air and everything. People's breathing in the fucking virus. Yeah. But it was funny because me and Amanda started watching Outbreak on Netflix. Yeah. Yeah, and she was like, you ever seen this movie? I was like, yeah, it's really good. Like, I remember it being a really good movie. And then we rewatched it. It was a really good movie. Outbreak. Go see that.
Outbreak.
Came out in like
watch it.
1995, right?
Jeez.
Yeah, and it has Dustin Hoffman.
Is that the one with Morgan Freeman?
Morgan Freeman, Dustin Hoffman, Kiefer Sutherland. Donald Sutherland, Rene Russo. It has Kevin Spacey.
Is that where they're going to fucking nuke the town.
Yeah,
like
dude, it's good. Like I watched it and I'm like, wow, this is super fucking good. Like it was like the production value. Like, dude, they have like helicopter chases.
Sweet.
Dude, it's good. It's really, really good. Yeah, it's really good. There's like a government conspiracy too, and then I was like, oh, that's right, I remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything else it's an awesome movie. It's like really fucking cool. It's super 90s like action. It's like an action movie about an outbreak, which is like really hard to do, and they did it. Like or like a really good action suspense drama.
They pulled it off.
They pulled it off. Yeah, it was really good. Like the opening scene, they end up firebombing a base in like Vietnam or Africa or something. I think it was in Africa. Mm-hmm. It was weird. I don't know they got infected and they're like, yeah, we got everything. And then they just dropped this giant like air bomb thing that like blew up the whole area. But
love the fucking smell of napalm.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it was a good movie. I was like, oh shit, that was a good watch. And Amanda had never seen it, so that was the first time she saw it. Yeah.
Nice.
And everybody's watching that and Contagion.
Yep.
I got to watch Contagion.
Is that the one on Netflix, the documentary?
No, that's Pandemic.
Oh, Pandemic.
Which is actually just a documentary series about how they like handle viruses and stuff or outbreaks.
I watched about half of that one.
Yeah, that was more of a documentary than anything. I started the first episode and I was like, boring. Even though we're in a pandemic somewhat right now, I'm like boring. But like Contagion was a movie that came out, looked really good. I think I saw some of it. I don't know if I actually watched the whole movie because it came out in 2011. So I don't know if I actually watched the whole movie or not. Okay. But it's really good too. Like that one's a really good movie. So I think I might sit down and watch that one. That one I think is on Netflix. Yeah, that's on Amazon Prime. It's one of the two. Yeah. So yeah. So sadly though, Griebs had to cancel his Ireland trip.
Yep, because of fucking coronavirus. Yeah. Thanks a lot, China. Fuck you.
Yeah, Ireland, they canceled their
St. Patrick's Day stuff. So.
Yeah.
So me and my mom were supposed to go, and we were gonna leave this Friday and stay there until fucking Wednesday.
They give you like a refund, or at least give you like a change dates?
Yeah, we're changing the dates.
Oh, okay.
I was like, Mom, we gotta change these dates.
Yeah.
So we didn't lose any money, so we're just extending it out.
Well, Delta and a lot of airlines. So I was telling Amanda because we were gonna go down to Honduras in May, and Delta right now is literally having like a thing that was like, if you buy your airline ticket, you can change it for free anytime, like one time, like all the way to like March of 2021.
Nice.
Or something like that, where you can, or January 2021, where like if you buy a plane ticket, they will honor any type of change, like one free one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, that's dope as fuck.
Yeah,
so part of me is like, maybe I should just buy some plane tickets and be like, I gotta change it, and then like fit them perfectly to my date.
Yeah.
So then I just don't have to pay anything. You know, like you don't have to pay.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So we want to go to Honduras in May, or she needs a ticket. I think I got to talk to the guy I'm working with to see if my ticket's included or not. But yeah, so there was a really funny were posting. There was a news article or whatever. It said like younger people are traveling because the rates are so low.
Yeah.
And it said in quotes, it says one traveler said, "If I die, I die."
If he dies, he dies.
I know, and I was kind of like, that's pretty awesome actually.
Yeah, it is.
Like, how cool would that be if you're like, I'm just gonna go and then see what happens.
Yeah.
And then like what happens if you don't?
You're either gonna get it here or you're gonna get it somewhere else.
Yeah.
You might as well travel.
You might as well travel. But the other thing though too is like, you know, like you could get some. I mean, I don't know if there's any. Well, I'm sure there is some cases, but like Central America, I haven't heard anything come out of Central America. Maybe they have a few cases and we just don't know about it. Maybe I should probably Google shit and research. But like, I know it's more affecting like the European countries than anything.
Yeah. Because
of the Chinese trade. So I'm wondering, I don't think Central America's really been affected much. But I was like, hell yeah, go down to like Honduras is where we're going.
Yeah. Argentina, homie.
Yeah, go to Argentina. That would be a dope place to go. Peru, maybe go to Galapagos. But like, yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, I wonder how low. And then somebody was like, "Oh, you could." Oh, it was my buddy Taylor, I was in the Marine Corps with. He was like, there are tickets to Costa Rica. Is it Costa Rica or Puerto Rico? Mm-hmm. Couldn't remember. It's like $79.
Shit.
But it was on Spirit Airlines.
Fucking Spirit Airlines. I've never heard of it.
Oh, Spirit. Oh, dude, they are. I don't know what American.
Better or worse than Sun Country?
Oh, way worse. Way worse.
Shit,
I'm talking like bottom of the barrel. I don't know if they're a Central American company or if they're American company. I don't know. But Spirit, they fly to Central America a lot. Like they're one of the main main airlines, dude. And like in America, they are straight bottom barrel. Like they are even. I don't even know if JetBlue is still around, but like. It's bad. Like,
That's
it's bad,
scary.
man. Like, I've taken Spirit Airlines a few times. I refuse to take them anymore. Like, I'm like, I don't care how cheap the ticket is. Like, I will pay an extra to either hop on American or hop on, like, Sun Country or hop on, I shouldn't say at worst. Delta is like, the highest standard, I think.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Spirit's like, dude, you're riding, like, a patched up, like, ghetto chicken duct taped in the air.
Yeah.
They like I was in it. Like
chickens in the back.
Yeah, pretty much. Like your like seats were broken. They have it. They have a clause that like no shit. Like they'll just cancel flights, and then they don't refund you.
That's crazy.
So we actually had an issue in Panama flying back to the U.S. But it was Spirit connected to Delta. Mm-hmm. Delta bailed everybody out. Delta like they canceled. Something happened in Panama where we were trying to get out, and we had connecting flights in Texas. And we were going to Chicago at the time, and they like their Spirit's like, yep, that's it. And so then we went to the Delta booth, and Delta was like, there were people like, there's some lady, she was like from Jersey, and she was like fucking not
flipping
having,
out.
oh yeah, dude, she was like ultimate Karen, but actually worked in your favor.
Yeah,
you know, like
thanks Karen.
Oh yeah, thanks Karen. Basically, yeah, but she was like, I don't give a fuck. Blah blah blah. We pay for this, and there was like her friends. You could tell it was like like retired or like they were like definitely in the 40s 50s like girls getaway.
Yeah.
And she was just like, I don't give a fuck. Blah blah blah. And I'm sitting like, oh man, I feel bad for the Delta person. Yeah. She's like, you better copy. Like, but then what they did though is they actually did like they rebooked all our flights. And then we flew Delta out. They got us vouchers for food. They got us a hotel room, which kind of sucked because like. They then drove us. It was super like this is like the worst time. It was like midnight one, so you're tired. You're dealing with this shit. They drove us to the hotel, but then like our flights were at like 6-7 a.m. because they're trying to get us out there as quick as they could.
Yeah.
So it wasn't their fault, but it was like fuck. So we ended up going to like these hotels that they booked all of our rooms, by the way. So they did an amazing job, Delta. I don't know why people talk shit about Delta. Yeah. They're amazing. I've had nothing but amazing experiences with them. They booked our hotel. And then they just like we stayed there for like 2-3 hours, and then we had to get back on a bus and go back to
that's a fucking win for me.
The airport. Yeah, it's a win. It was a win. It was just and then they connected all our flights and we got where we needed to go.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so they were amazing.
Yeah.
Spirit though is a dog shit airline. A lot of people take it because it's super cheap, especially the Central America. Like a lot of people that have family down in Mexico or go have Central America, Costa Rica, Panama. Spirit's like one of the main airlines that get you down there. Like Delta, it's just more expensive with Delta. Like you're paying almost like $400 more for Delta, whereas like Spirit will get you down there for really cheap. So a lot of people take Spirit. Like it's like one of those flights where you see people like wrapping their shit up in plastic. Yeah. Because they're like taking half of their possessions down to Central America. Yeah. It's like in the Middle East when you see that, like they're like, oh, we have like our fucking family of 9 and here's our like
tape shit.
Yeah, they're like just like it was like boxes and just shit, and they just like have the little saran wrap and they just wrap everything up and they put it on the fucking plane, and it's pretty wild. So that's kind of how Spirit Airlines is, but for Central America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
But yeah, I wouldn't highly advise taking Spirit. I would try to buy some Delta flights real cheap and then just try to like manipulate it so then you could be like, these are the actual dates that I want. Yeah. Because we wanted to go to Ireland and Scotland, and now I'm kind of like, well, maybe we should buy tickets and then like shift them to a better time of year. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe Hawaii or something. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Try to take advantage of it.
Do something.
Yeah. I'm not scared about it. Like, I think I have more concern about like older people.
Yeah.
And like,
that was my worry with my mom because she's older.
Yeah. Same with my mom.
Fuck that.
She has like my mom has a weaker immune system. Her white blood cell count's lower.
Autoimmune.
Yeah, not autoimmune. It's just a lower blood cell count. So it's like it's and my dad too, or anything or even like my grandparents and stuff like that, or my grandma. But yeah, you're kind of like, that sucks because it's you could be totally fine, and if you have issues that could arise. Kind of happy now that we live in the Midwest. We got that land barrier. Yep.
Stay away from all the fucking Californians.
Yeah, I think there's like 2 cases in Minnesota right now.
I think it just bumped up to 3.
3?
Today.
Yeah. Yeah, lock them motherfuckers down.
Yep. Burn them.
Burn the house down.
Put those motherfuckers on the cross. Start the bonfire, homie.
I want you. We just talked about socialism, how evil it is, but we're going straight socialist right now. Burn them. Yep. It's for the good of the collective.
Purification by fire.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, not at all. Don't burn them.
Please don't.
Yeah, please. Yeah, get them a vaccine.
Yeah.
Drink some orange juice, get a vaccine.
Give that man some antibiotics.
Get that guy some antibiotics. Yeah, get him Netflix should like drop their rates for like the next few months. Be like, all right, everybody's staying home. Yep. We'll drop just for you, dropping from
the Wuhan fucking coupon.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Wuhan coupon. I love that. Wuhan coupon. We should actually do that. Like, I wonder if you got enough people behind that, like, just start tagging Netflix with Wuhan coupon. Everybody's got to stay in and watch Netflix. You should give us a discount. And then, like, see if, like, Netflix actually is like, yeah, we'll cut our price for, like, $3 for, like, 10 months or something. Yeah. Or, like, for 5-6 months. Because I don't know what I pay now. I think it's, like, $8.99, $9.99, something stupid like that. Dude, I remember when it started, it was literally... It was like $3.99. It was that low. It was like crazy. $4, and then it went to $5, and then it was like $6, and then you could pay an extra $1 to have, like, because everybody kept borrowing everybody's accounts. So they're like, if you want 8 accounts, like open up 8, people can, it would cost you like an extra $2 or something. Yeah. And they clearly knew people were using each other's passwords and devices and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But no, yeah, man, I don't know. It's pretty wild. I think that's, I think that everything will be all right. Just me coming from the Midwest, positive attitude. We'll be all right. But I do think that a little more seriousness to be taken with it, along with, like I said, I like the self-reliance thing. I like how you brought that up. Yeah. And I think it's a good reflection. Like, once hopefully everything is good and it calms down, next few months everybody gets through it, you'd be like, yeah, maybe I should do some more self-reliance. Maybe even like I feel self-reliant, but definitely don't feel self-reliant all the time. So I'm like, ooh, there's a few things I should probably go snatch up just to even like the feel of safety, feel that much better. Or I just go to your house and snatch up some guns and be like, yo, bro.
We out here taking shit, homie. All that fucking toilet paper and hand sanitizer you just fucking bought, mine. Yep. Barrel to your fucking head. Let's go.
Give me your toilet paper.
Give me the toilet paper.
I need that soft shit. Yep. Yeah, that was the other thing too. Is buddy works at, or Graham works at Costco, or not Costco, at Sam's Club, and he was like, yeah, the shelves just wiped out. They're just gone. Yeah, I said water and toilet paper, and then everywhere else is toilet paper. So. Yeah. Like, I don't know why people, and everybody's like, why the fuck toilet paper?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's the least useful thing.
Yeah, that's like the least useful shit you can buy. And I was talking to Travis the other night, and he was like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's like, it takes up a lot of shelving space, and then it doesn't take much to empty it, because it's like, what, 10, 12 of them, and then it's like, oh, it's empty, you go restock it. Well, then people see that it's not stocked up because people just buy one to have an extra. Yeah. And it just creates an artificial shortage, because that's not something that's needed is toilet paper. Yeah. You're fine. Like
I liked the meme where it was the American defense against the coronavirus, people just wrapping themselves in fucking toilet paper.
Maybe there's something we don't know. Yeah. So it's just an artificial panic on that. I could see water. Like, water makes sense.
Yeah, but water and like dehydrated food. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like, just anything. Dehydrated food. I bet Mountain House and God, what was the other one?
Actually, there's a few different.
There's
ones.
A few. Yeah, I bet they're just making them.
There's one that Tim Pool endorsed. Yeah. And now it went from like, okay, you could get it immediately to like a month wait time if you even get it.
Yeah.
All those prepackaged fucking
you kind of fucked
stuff
right now.
Is done.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're gonna have to go make your own kits now. Yeah. Like, it'll be go buy a lot of soup.
Yeah. I went to fucking Cub and I bought 4-pound. 4-pound things of dehydrated beans. Yeah. And then the exact same thing with rice. I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah, because rice is like good forever. Yeah, so you get, most people survive on rice too. I mean, like, even flour. Like, I know, like, Iraq and Afghanistan, I don't mix up much else to make bread. No. I remember them buying like just the giant bag of flour in each home, and that's it. They're like good for the year. Yeah. And that's because they make bread every day, and they just live off bread and water. Yep. And like some little bit of vegetables that they had, if that. and then meat was a delicacy.
That's a luxury.
That was a luxury. Yeah. So I think that, yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Just rice and soup.
And like Tim Pool said, worst case scenario, you have taco night for a few fucking weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's actually a really good idea. Yeah. Like I said, you can survive off a lot of stuff. Like you can survive off of that for weeks or months, depending on how much you buy.
Yeah.
And like I said, when it gets to that point, though, if it's like when the hammer drops and everything shuts down, it's like, all right, you can survive for a week or two as long as the communications are still going. If the communications cease, then you're getting into some.
People are gonna start fucking raiding. And
then it's gonna get real weird,
real
fast.
tribal, real fast.
Yeah. Guess you have like a full tank of gas and get the fuck out of Dodge.
Get the fuck away from the cities because all those fucking weirdos are gonna come out and start hitting the suburbs.
Yeah, well, that too, and it's just like there's just the city infrastructure will just collapse. Too many people in one place, and that too, and it's just mob mentality.
Yeah.
Wow, good, good talk on the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Oh, we covered an hour and 4 minutes. Anything else? What's else going on in life, man? Besides the coronavirus, the coronavirus actually affecting Grieb's life.
Other than that, just the fucking Ireland trip, man.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like it officially affected someone I know.
Fuck.
Yep.
Fuck China. Fuck China.
Some real bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, just school.
Yeah.
The fucking therapy.
Yeah. Still rocking
other
that.
than yeah. Therapy. Just fucking moving and grooving, doing a little bit of the National Guard thing. Other than that, not too much, man.
Are you still digging that unit, or are you trying to get out of it, or what's your deal?
Yeah, I want to fucking bail.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that place.
How much do you have left on your ETS?
It's February 2022.
Oh, so you still got like a year and a half or 2 years almost 2 years.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that they deploy next year, so then I can just sit on rear D and fucking chill out.
I don't know. We'll see how everything pans out. I'm planning on going to OCS in June, July.
Yeah.
Still planning, so I'm working on that paperwork is, but
yeah.
What? I don't even know if I'll be at drill in April and May, because I got to do some OCS training in April, and then May is going to be my physical.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, I'll have to split out for that, and then I'll be in Honduras, and then come back, and then start up OCS like a week later. Whoop.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Or worst case, I hang around and I go to NTC in July.
I'll be texting you while I'm out in the fucking field.
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, are you going to NTC? Are they doing NTC this year?
Yep.
What's the dates?
I think it's like July 11th to August 9th or something like that.
Get the fuck out. I'll be there when you're there.
Yep.
I'm there from the 11th to... No, I'm there. Yeah, the 11th to the 25th.
Yeah, because you guys are going to be supporting the brigade.
Oh, yeah,
so
makes sense.
You, me, Brandon, Matovich. I texted Matovich. I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I want to come back to division. He's like, I'll be laughing in the fucking nice cold talk.
Yep, same.
God damn it, man.
Yep,
I made a tragic mistake.
Oh, it's all right, man. Like, it makes sense, though, because you still got, like, a few years before you get your bachelor's. So, I think that's...
Fuck you, Foldo.
Hey!
Hey, are you in Ethan?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we're doing the pod. You're on the podcast now.
Oh, hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey, I got you next to the microphone, so they should be picking you up.
Yep.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, yeah.
What are you guys discussing today?
Coronavirus.
All right.
And
all right.
NPC.
Yeah. We
What do you think?
just got into NTC talk.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, so what's the word on coronavirus? You guys think it's a big media scare or what?
No, I think it only affects people in and around the Baudette area in the northern part of the states.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
Really high
that's,
up there.
Good. You should quarantine the whole area.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, let's just quarantine them. Like, there's nothing to do with the virus. Like, no, it's okay, just quarantine them.
We just don't like Baudette.
I know some people from there. Trust me, you're doing the world a favor.
No, he's talking about. I think it's a good. We were talking about well, you'll hear on the podcast, but we just talked about how it's a good scare on the aspect of self-reliance. I think it's a good point. I think it's very, very serious. We talked about that. Like, it's a very, very serious thing, but it hasn't gone catastrophic yet.
Yep.
and just trying to prepare for it, that kind of thing. Like it can go really bad, or it could just level itself out. So
Yeah, they just released that it was confirmed like a pandemic. So
did they? Well, it makes sense. It's crossing borders like rapidly. So
yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah,
confirmed
well-
that like last week, but it wasn't yet. And then they finally did.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, did you see New York? They had some National Guard guys go out and like quarantine off an area or something.
No
Look
shit.
it up. It was on the news. I mean, granted, it was on the news. So.
Yeah. I thought they did that in California, but maybe it was New York. Yeah.
No, it was up in New York somewhere. So.
Dude, I hope that happens to get another ribbon from Minnesota.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Trying to get that.
Yeah. Get
One of
that
those-
stack,
one of those sweet
son.
Gimme awards, huh?
Yeah, right. Have to get activated for coronavirus. What award do you get for that?
I don't know. Do you get like the skull and crossbow, like to be like
Get like a
that kind of ribbon,
like a
or-
Seaburn award.
Yeah. Chinese flag.
Easy,
award.
don't get Charlie excited now.
Oh,
Oh,
Charlie
yeah.
just switched over, so he's fucking
Oh,
useless
that's
to us
right.
now.
He's useless to us.
Yeah, yeah.
He's gonna die like the rest of us.
Yeah, now he's just now he goes from having a sweet mop gear to being like, here's your fucking piece of shit mask and good luck when you die.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't used these since Desert Storm, but we'll give them a shot.
Yeah, we'll give him a shot. Oh, by the way, remember how your Seaburn? Yeah, they got all the good shit now. So
Yeah.
you might have survived this if you stayed in your MOS field.
Fucking idiot.
All right. Well, hey guys, I'll let you get back to the podcast. I was just calling to check in, see
All
how
right.
everyone's doing.
All right, buddy.
Sounds good, bud.
Love you,
So, all
Brandon.
right, boys.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So beyond that, what else, anything else? It was fun.
I don't know. I can't think of anything really. What you got?
Not much. Nothing too exciting. I should say nothing
your
too.
fucking birthday this weekend.
Yeah,
What?
tomorrow. Yeah, we're doing our taxes tomorrow,
Yep.
and then which I got to make sure all my forms are aligned.
Yep.
I got to talk to them about some escort bullshit. I'm not super worried because I only made like $4,000 in December, and I have all the PDF invoices that say, hey, I'm claiming this, so don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not a ton of money because obviously I didn't start it until. And then I have all the write-offs, so I have like a shit ton of everything.
Nice.
So it's like I don't think I'd even pay in for my
Good.
because I'm so far behind the 8 ball technically, with my business. And then gonna have some ice cream cake. So we're actually going down to Prior Lake because my parents gave the info to the tax guy. We're like, oh, we'll use him. That's cool. There, and then they're like, oh, that's right, he's in Prior Lake.
Yeah.
So we're like going to Prior Lake tomorrow.
Nice.
And going to hang out with the parents. Have a little birthday cake, and then and that's about it. And then Friday's pretty chill, I believe, and then
The whoop whoop Saturday.
the whoop whoop Saturday. Yeah, it's
That'd
gonna
be
be a
fun.
long day. Yeah, we'll have I don't know. It'll be rough, or not rough. I might have to do some stuff in the morning. Go to Travis is running for Congress and he has to get endorsed, so he wanted some photos of all the BPOs that he's going to that are voting for some delegates because he get some photos. So I don't know if I'll be able to do that or not, or if we can
Okay.
find somebody to do it for him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that'll actually be another good thing. April 4th, we find out if he gets endorsed or not. So that's Saturday.
Yeah.
So pretty happy about that.
yeah.
Whether I was talking to him, I was like, life becomes a lot less stressful for him. Either he gets endorsed, and then it becomes a lot more work for us, which is fine, because now he's running officially. But if he doesn't get endorsed, then it's all over.
Yeah, it's done.
So it's done.
So-
So you don't have to worry about if you're endorsed or not. And then so come April 4th, it'll be a lot less stressful for him, and a little bit for me too, because now it'll be kicked into gear. But there'll be a lot more support behind us.
Yeah.
So if you're hearing this, vote for Travis if you live in County District 4, CD4.
There we go.
Yeah, not much on that. Yeah.
I got the invitation for Chuck's wedding.
Oh yeah, nice,
Yep,
nice, nice.
Cool. Excited for fucking the
Yep,
wedding. That'll
yep.
be fun.
Pretty fun. Yep. Got that too about maybe a week or two ago. So or like a week ago maybe. So yeah, pretty pumped about that. I need to make sure I make it, so that's why I was like, some stuff with the potential job opportunity. I don't know if I go to OCS in June, July, or if I hold it off until January, February.
Yeah.
January, February, it's in Alabama.
Okay.
So it's not in the winter months
Yeah.
in Minnesota. So I was super happy about that. I was
That's
like,
fucking
they did a
sweet.
brief on it this drill, and I was like, sweet, it's awesome. So I was concerned that it would be like June or January, February or whatever in fucking South Dakota and Minnesota. I was like, oh god, yeah,
Nope.
exactly. So it's down in Alabama, so that'll be pretty dope. If that goes through or however my career finishes out, or if I'm gonna even stay in. So see how all that turns out.
Yeah.
Because my ETS is January 2021, so I have
Okay.
less than a year now. I got 10 months.
Shit.
So worst case, I just ride that mother out and
Mm-hmm.
get out as a E5 with a fat stack. You guys saw that, dude. I didn't even put I put the state awards in too after
Yeah.
that, and it was like
Fucking huge.
22.
Fuck yeah. dude.
22 is 20 stacked and 2 on the one side. Then whatever fucking unit.
Yeah.
One.
Additional.
Additional.
So yeah.
Yeah. I actually had a little. My dick went like.
Yeah.
Did a little jiggle. It's a little bit of a jiggle.
Big old dick.
And then the same because everything now is added on with the Kuwait deployment.
Yeah.
All the gimme awards, and it was
Mhm.
and especially switching over from that to the army, so it's all different awards. And it was just
Yeah.
like, but it was $368
Holy shit.
for medals.
Yeah.
I was like, no way.
That was for the big medals, right?
That's for the big anodized, so they're shiny.
Yeah.
You don't get anything else but the shiny ones.
Yeah.
That
Oh.
shit's got glisten, son.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen guys do the anon, but it's still like 200. I mean, there's a difference, but not much of a difference. I mean, you want the anodized because it looks good.
Yeah.
But And the ribbons were 70. They're like $71.
Mhm.
So I have no reason to buy them yet.
Yeah.
But because I was like, I wanted to like throw them on my ASU, and I'm like, oh man,
But why?
But why? There's no point.
Unless
Like,
there's a fucking ball coming up soon.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I have my ASU in my closet. I think it's still in my storage. So I don't know. All right, hour 15.
Hour 15.
Yeah, feeling good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling good.
All right. I guess we'll end it on that.
Yeah.
that'll,
All
be,
right. Yeah.
that'll be the shortest podcast, but we went balls deep in coronavirus. So
Yeah, we did.
that was a good one. Yeah. So all right, sweet, cool, sounds good.